Welcome to this week's edition of the Cheap Pop Podcast with K-Double and Alpha. Boys, take it away. Hey, what's up, y'all? It is a brand new day, and we are back with the same old say-so here on the Cheap Pop Podcast. It's myself and the one and only Alpha. What is up, my brother?
We're back. Finally, once again, one of us is back a little less scruffier, but, at the end of the day,
Heck
we're
yeah.
back here. And last time I checked, I think we were back at a different season. So I think this might be our first fall episode of the Cheap Pop.
Sir.
So thank you for joining us for our return.
For sure. Double K and Alpha at it again, or K Double and Alpha, however you want to say it. All right, so yeah, man, look, like there's been a lot of stuff going on since we last, we're on air, almost too much to talk about all in one episode.
Oof.
So because we will get to on the next wrestling episode the most recent WWE releases, which included my fan favorite and my favorite. We are no longer allowed to bask in his glory. The Bearcat has been released, and Keith Lee is now gone from WWE. That doesn't mean he won't be brought back. That just means he's gone for now, which made no sense because he actually got drafted in the WWE draft. But anyway,
yeah, you're right. He was drafted right before he was dipped.
Yep. We're gonna kick this show off with let's see, some AEW talk. And man, I got to say, we have not talked AEW on this show. Wow. Too damn long. Like I want to say a couple months ago, we dedicated an episode to him, but that was about it.
You're right.
And I, for one, like I just told Alpha prior to us coming on air, I've been recently disenfranchised with them. Not because they're bad or, oh my God, it's horrible wrestling, because it's amazing wrestling. You got guys like Brian Danielson, CM Punk, Eddie Kingston, I even give MJF his props for in-ring acumen. He's not the best I've ever seen, but the man's got some skills. Chris Jericho, etc. You got some good in-ring competition. I ain't even gotten to John Moxley yet. So there's a lot of good potential there. I just, for some odd reason, just mentally, I just kind of tuned out.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
But I was aware, I figured since we were coming back to the show, that's an important thing, and we was going to be talking wrestling.
AEW.
I figured I'd check out and see what the boys over there in Florida, out there at Daly's place, was doing. And I fell across the fact that there is a pay-per-view coming up this weekend.
You're right.
And
we got some Full Gear coming up.
Yep. We got Full Gear, and it's gonna. I believe it's going to be giving us. There we go. A lot of great matches, amazing matches. Ooh. Not to mention a match that we've been waiting for over a year. And oh, wait a minute, it's already taken place? No. When was it? Oh shit! It was tonight. So it looks like we're talking reviewing the results instead of talking about the matches.
Oh shit!
Thank God SummerSlam is next week. Or not SummerSlam. Damn, I'm in the wrong month.
Survivor Series.
All right.
There we go.
All right. So it looks like they opened up and Hikaru Shida and Thunder Rosa defeated Jamie Hayter and Nyla Rose. All right. You got a little MJF defeating MJF defeating Darby Allin. Okay, so at least he's feuding with somebody other than Jericho. Man, like because as fun as that feud was to start, I was getting kind of tired of it. Like I'm kind of over the whole MJF versus Jericho shit.
Oh yeah, it was certainly It was certainly around long enough. You know what I mean?
Yep. Lucha Brothers defeated FTR. Okay, I don't even know why that match happened. I watched the build up, but I didn't remember seeing anything about it.
Oh shit! Hold up. Lucha Bros defeated FTR.
Yeah.
Ah, sweet. Okay. Sorry.
Lucha,
Oh man,
Lucha.
my
Oh,
whole
wait a minute.
setup.
Wrong,
What's going on? My whole
wrong
setup.
Lucha Brothers, right?
Wrong Lucha Bros. Wrong masked men.
uh,
I
Daniel
did.
Bryan, or sorry, pardon me. I'm still in my WWE mode. Let me switch out. There we go. Bryan Danielson.
It's the opposite. It's like when dudes used to see people go to WWE and still call them by their Ring of
Yeah.
Honor names. Now
Yeah.
we're still watching people go to the indies calling them by their W names.
Bryan Danielson defeated Miro by technical submission to earn a future AEW World Championship match. And you know what? Bravo to AEW on something.
Yeah.
I haven't necessarily watched them, but I have paid attention to what's been going on. Bravo to them. They've had Punk feud with everybody and their mama but the AEW champion.
And that's good. I like
Same
it.
thing with Bryan Danielson. Neither one of them came immediately in and went immediately after the title.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, like when it happens in WWE, like when AJ Styles came and he immediately went after the WWE title, you know, so on and so forth. It's not like it's a bad thing, but it's beautiful to watch it happen with those two that way. You know, I hope at some point we're building to a Bryan Danielson versus CM Punk for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship match. I would love to see it because I think those two would tear the house down, bury it, build a new house, tear that one down, and bury that too.
Exactly. As CM Punk said, we knock it out of the park, we catch the ball, we come back, we put it in their face.
Exactly. All right. So, but the greatest thing about it is, and I noticed during the pre-show build-up, they were talking about it. Bryan Danielson gets his first career win over Miro.
Really?
Yeah. So, and when you come to think of it, the only time that Daniel Bryan and Rusev really engaged each other in WWE was when Rusev was on that year-long streak where he never lost.
Yeah. I was going to say that must have been during Rusev's undefeated streak when he first came around and he went on that fucking tear for almost a year, right?
Exactly. So very much so. Oh, by the way, how'd you enjoy Raw?
Who? The most recent?
Yeah, the one on the 18th.
I haven't even watched it.
No, 18th? I'm talking about the one we went to.
Oh God, yeah. I was gonna say we should talk about that, of course. But no, yeah, as you saw, there was some moments there I was not ready for.
Yeah.
The speed at which Charlotte took off them shoes.
No shit. No shit.
Oh yeah, and as a small tidbit before we break into it, seeing Matt Riddle in person is a whole nother experience. Wouldn't exchange that shit for the world. Seeing Randy Orton put the juice on that shit was
nice. Nice. Oh man. Only thing I got mad about is I didn't get there until the Big E match. Because my boy was running late. So we got there like an hour late. So I didn't get there until the Big E and Drew McIntyre match. So I didn't get to see my boy's intro and cheer him on. But anyway.
I feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so we'll get back to AEW real quick and we'll talk that when we come back from break. It says here Christian Cage and Jungle Express have defeated the Super Click, Adam Cole, and the Young Bucks, huh?
Yep.
By pinfall. Nice. He's another one that didn't immediately get a shot that might have, was Adam Cole.
Yeah, I'm sure nobody expected him to come in and go right into leagues with the people who booted him out.
Yep.
Which I think we haven't even got to talk about it. I think it was a great move to go in and do that little swerve where Adam Cole comes in for the save and instead just fucking joins him. Shit was great.
Him, yeah.
And although the Super Click is, in my opinion, kind of a dorky fucking name,
yeah,
I'm never gonna not love Cole and the Bucks. So
now this next match involved, like 4 guys that can go. So I'm assuming the match was probably damn good. Cody Rhodes and Pac defeated Malachi Black and Andrade El Idolo by pinfall.
Surprising.
So of course, Cody gets the big win.
Surprise. I didn't expect that. I expected Black and Idolo to go over. I did.
Yeah. Dr. Britt Baker is on a Roman Reigns-esque run with the women's title.
Yeah.
And defeated Tay Conti. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as most people can say, I think we expected that with the absolute fucking rampage that Britt Baker is currently on right now in the women's division.
Yeah, I give credit where credit's due. Like I said, I think she kind of oversells her in-ring skill. Not to say she doesn't have it. She's got some good in-ring skill, but I think she oversells it like any good heel does.
Yeah. You're right. Like any good heel.
You know,
but yeah, she definitely is one of those people that needs a bit more development from me.
Yeah. There's still a little bit of green left in her. And I'm not talking about weed.
But I do like her performances thus far, and most recently, of course, she's been definitely killing it. Yeah.
For sure. Let's see. CM Punk defeats Eddie Kingston, something that pretty much I saw happening from the moment they announced the match. But hey, it's good to see it in writing.
For those who have not, though, please do yourself a big fucking favor and go see the promo that these motherfuckers did, the Go Home show before this pay-per-view, because the promo between CM Punk and Eddie Kingston was more raw and real than 90% of the shit that has came through wrestling in the past like 3 years. That promo was fucking amazing.
Nice.
I loved it, and I cannot put it over enough. And if anyone gets the chance to, please watch that shit. It was great.
I will go back and watch it myself. I want to say, all right, last match we're looking at, because the last match is currently going on. We'll check back and see if we can get to that. We're going to talk a little bit more about some other stuff when it comes to AEW in a second. Inner Circle, Jericho, Hager, Guevara, the new TNT champion Guevara, and Santana Ortiz defeated the Men of the Year, Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, and America's Top Team, Junior DeSantos, the Andre Arveleski and Dan Lambert, the MMA guys. So they actually had them wrestle, huh?
I was going to say
Minneapolis street fight.
Yep, they did. They had Junior DeSantos, Dan Lambert in a fucking street fight.
Well, what better? They're MMA guys, so what better way to introduce them into the wrestling world?
Right.
You know?
Right. But
go in there and do what you do, but just don't kill the guy, okay?
You're right. I'm surprised to see the Inner Circle still going over, though. Ain't nothing wrong with that, though. I like the consistency in that. But though I like to see it. And although I was really happy with last year's Full Gear. So hopefully when I get the chance to fully bite into this and understand everything that happened in it 100%, I hope I'll like it as much as I did the last one when I get to see all the physicality, of course.
This is just a quick review, guys, because unfortunately we just realized that it was happening tonight. So on the Saturday as we're recording. So we will come back to Full Gear and review the actual thing once me and him get a chance to actually watch it. Omega and Page. This is a match that should have happened a long time ago. And I'm glad it's happening now. We don't have a result on it yet, but we know it's happening.
I kind of like that too. I dig that. But yeah, the build to this match, for lack of a better term, has been fucking fantastic. If it's anything that I could highlight this, I want to, of course, go over the promo skills of recent date of people like Kingston and Miro, who everybody knows can kill it on the mic, but I've been recently fucking acing that shit down the hole. But more importantly, the thought and the depth and the longevity of the storytelling between Hangman Page and Kenny Omega has been fucking masterful. And of course, everyone knows that Omega is 100% the type of dude to be the best fucking heel he can be, just to make Hangman Page the single best face in the fucking business. And I have a strong belief that, even if this isn't the Hangman's night, this is all building to the most heroic uphill of what could be AEW's run so far. Because even up to this point, like, Hangman Page just had the perfect metamorphosis even with the prior context of everything in his character before AEW, he's had this perfect arc of the sad and unconfident cowboy becoming the world fucking champion.
And here's the thing. I think that they don't want to run into what I'll call at this point Daniel Bryan syndrome.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, as much as the payoff was amazing at WrestleMania or WrestleMania, what was it, 32?
That was 30. That was WrestleMania 30.
Okay, so as epic as it was when it happened at WrestleMania 30, the long road to it felt like a grind until we got to WrestleMania season that year. Because you kept seeing him in the title picture and he almost win it and then he gets screwed over. And then he did win it and then he gets screwed over again. You know, and it was just like, just give it to him and let him have his and run. And I'm almost at that point with this Hangman Adam Page situation. I enjoy the storytelling.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful. It's amazing. But it's at that point where it's like, okay, if he doesn't get this goddamn belt soon, y'all either need to move on and let this go,
do it,
or do it. Really, because it's at that point. So I'm hoping tonight is his night. Omega's had the belt, I want to say 6-7 months at this point, hasn't he?
Has to have been, because he won Kenny Omega won the belt in either October or November of last year.
Yeah, so he's had the belt. He's had the belt almost a year. So I think it's time for him to move on. You know, and it's Adam Hangman Page's time. All right. So one of the last subjects that I wanted to talk about was this. Can we silence, and I haven't been online a lot recently. You know what happened to me. I told you I went to the hospital and all that. So I haven't really been online or in the fan groups or anything a lot recently. But can we stop any talk? I flipped back in and saw a couple posts. Can we stop any talk about AEW taking over WWE, or ever at any point ratings wise taking beating out anything in WWE outside of NXT? Raw, even on its worst days, is steadily around 1.5, 1.6 million. Smackdown has been consistently, like, outside of the couple of times it moved to Fox Sports 1 for the night because of baseball, has persistently and consistently hit the 2 million mark. AEW's ratings spiked shortly after Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole and CM Punk got there, and they stayed above a million.
They spiked hard. I remember that.
Right. Yeah. But they still peaked at like 1.2, 1.3, 1.3 million, somewhere around there. Recently they've started to fall off again, and they're back in that 900,000 to low million range.
Yeah, I was gonna say they've kind of came down to the middling range they were at before. Yes.
It's not that AEW is not a good product, and we've talked about this before, and I'll kind of say it as we wrap it up, and I'll let you get your word in.
Absolutely.
They're a niche product.
Absolutely.
You're either going to like them or you're not. It's not like WWE where there's a little bit of middle ground where you're like, yeah, okay, I can check out this show, but maybe I just won't watch all the other content.
Yeah.
With AEW, you're either AEW or you're not. So I'll let you finish us out with some thoughts on that.
That's definitely a way of putting it. You know, it's definitely a very niche crowd, and it is for lack of a better term, some of the hardest of the hardcore in wrestling right now to be going there, and that's the crowd that it serves, and there is nothing wrong with it. And ratings aren't going to be the determining factor in here. Eric Bischoff might tell you that ratings are everything, but sir, it is not 98 no more. And we don't make money through attendance anymore. We make money through marketing and sponsors.
No, very much
and
so.
That's what makes King right now. And attendance numbers don't make King, you know, and neither does ratings. Trust me, if ratings made King, then Raw would have been done 7 months ago. It is not. And even then, arguably, I would even say it's at its weakest point. But regardless, a WWE killer is not feasible.
And here's the thing. WWE has its crowd.
Absolutely.
It has a certain crowd that's going to watch WWE. They're going to watch them every week. They're not going to stop watching them. They're not going to change the channel for the new kid on the block. They might add the new kid to their wrestling, lineup for the week, but they're not going to tune out of WWE and tune into AEW, and get what people desire. Or what some AEW fans desire. So,
right.
All right. So we got to wrap that up real quick, take a quick break. And then we will come back and we are going to be previewing the WWE 2021 Survivor Series pay-per-view.
Good stuff.
I'll probably have a little bit more to say about that. And also, I want to give props to WWE for something that they've done with their choice of when to release WWE 2K22. So we'll talk about that after the break.
We'll dig into that.
Yep. Thank you guys for listening to the new season, the fall season of WWE, WWE, of the Cheap Pop Podcast. And we'll talk to you guys after the break. Peace. Howdy, folks. This is Double KK Double here. I'm here to tell you all about the 4Aces Presents Radio Network. On this network, we have a plethora of shows going on, sometimes once a month, sometimes every other week, sometimes once a week. It's all kinds of schedules going on around here. But what we're going to start with is the Now versus Then Network. Now versus Then is comprised of a man by the name and co-founder of this particular network by the name of the Saint and his collective of hosts that help him bring to you the hottest topics, bring to you some of the greatest discussions, and bring to you some of the greatest music, independent music on the West Coast, hell, possibly even on the East Coast. So check out the Saint on Now versus Then. Now versus Then West, and Now versus Then Deuce. These shows air on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. or Monday nights right here on the 4Aces Presents Radio Network on Spreaker.com and or live 365 starting here in the next couple of weeks. All right, so the other part of the 4Aces Presents Radio Network I wanted to tell you about was a show by the name of the Mr. Deacon Experience. Starring Mr. Deacon himself. Deacon takes you on a ride talking about his Browns, talking about sports, talking about some of the hottest topics within the communities that surround us on a weekly basis, on a regular basis, I should say. So tune in to him on Saturday nights at 8. Now, the next part of the network is a few shows, some of which you may recognize, some of which are right here on YouTube, and that is the Double K Double Network. That will be 4 shows starring me and a bunch of my other hosts doing everything from sports to music. Let's start out with Double K's Classroom, which is my bi-weekly show where I talk sports and some of the hottest topics in sports. Like this week, I touched on the A-Rod situation, John Gruden situation. So be sure to tune into that on Friday night at 8. But every Friday night we have a show, but we will be alternating between Spreaker and Live 365. Double K's K-Double, or Double K's Classroom will air on Spreaker every Friday night at 8, or every other Friday night at 8. In the weeks in between Double K's Classroom, we will have KD5P. K-Double's 5th period music class, the show that will bring to you music from multiple generations, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s on Live 365 every other Friday at 8 p.m. So So be sure to tune into those shows. The next show that we have is the Cheap Pop Podcast. The Cheap Pop Podcast airs right here on YouTube as well as on Spreaker.com. It's a weekly show that alternates between talking pro wrestling and everything involved with that, from WWE to AEW, etc., to talking movies, entertainment, comic books, television shows, animated television shows, etc. You think about it, we probably talk about it. So that's on Sundays at 5 p.m. And then every other Sunday, the final show on this network stars me, The Duel, and Heather O'Malley, which, by the way, Cheap Pop Podcast also stars Alpha, a young man out of Sacramento. All right. And then, yes, the West Coast Bias with me, The Duel, and O'Malley talking sports every other week right here on the 486 Presents Radio Network. We go on live at 6 p.m. And yeah, that's so you guys be sure to tune in to the 486 Presents Radio Network. And be sure to keep watching the YouTube show that you're probably watching right now if you're seeing this video. So hi. Get back to it with either Double K's Classroom or the Cheap Pop Podcast. I hope you guys are enjoying. Peace. Hey, and we're back. Yeah, unfortunately, we lost Alpha for the second half of the show. He had to take care of some family business, but I'm going to go ahead and close this out here with a little review of the upcoming card for SummerSlam. SummerSlam is a few nights from now. So far, the card is only filled with about 6 matches. So let's go over them. This week's Raw. So they have announced who's going to replace him. Okay. This week's Raw saw Rey Mysterio get knocked out of the Survivor Series match by Bobby Lashley, or at least that's the excuse that Adam Pearce used to remove him. And I guess they replaced him with Austin Theory, or at least that's the belief at this point. So you have a team for Team Raw of Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Bobby Lashley, and Austin Theory. And I think it's some of the better wrestlers in the Raw roster, but I think this is a match that's going to be dominated by Bobby Lashley and potentially Seth Rollins, being that Rollins is in line for a WWE title shot. Team SmackDown will consist of Drew McIntyre, Jeff Hardy, King Woods, Happy Corbin, and somebody to be announced later. I expect this to be a Survivor Series debut, kind of like The Rock, kind of like The Undertaker, etc. I don't necessarily think it's going to be somebody who's going to be that like level of player, but it's definitely going to be a surprise, and I can't wait to see who says it. So that'll be your 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match between Team Raw and Team SmackDown. The 5-on-5 women's match consists of Team Raw, which is the EST of WWE. No, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, the current #1 contender for the Raw Women's title, and Carmella and Queen Zelina. This is a match that I expect some of the heels to go out early. It's going to be dominated by the likes of Belair and Rhea Ripley. I believe Doudrop will probably end up having something to do with the finale of this in the sense of messing with Bianca Belair, but we'll see. Team SmackDown will consist of Sasha Banks, Shayna Baszler, Shotzi, and Natalya, and somebody to be named later. It was Aaliyah, but for some odd reason, just like with Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio, she just got randomly removed from the match. I don't know what to tell you on that one, man. Like that shit was kind of weird to me, you know. But it does leave the door open for a team or for a debut, a SmackDown and Survivor Series debut by some wrestler that we don't see coming. Next up, you got the list of the run of champion versus champion matches. So you got Team Raw, or not Team Raw. You got Becky Lynch, the Raw Women's Champion, taking on Charlotte Flair, the SmackDown Women's Champion. I said this to Alpha in the episode that never got recorded. I'm kind of over this feud. Not because it's a bad feud, not because the women can't go in a ring, not because it's not going to be an amazing match, but just because I'm sick and tired of Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. This very easily could have been Bianca Belair taking on Shayna Baszler. This could have been trying to think of all the women that have gone, like, for, you know, there's a plethora of options that they could have had, but they decided to go with Lynch versus Flair. I think it'll be a good match. I think it'll definitely be worth watching, but I just don't see it being like entertaining to me. I'm sorry. If you're upset with that, leave it in the comments. But I'm sorry. Next up is Big E. Well, actually, you know, before we get to that one, let's start with Damian Priest, the United States champion, will be taking on Shinsuke Nakamura. No, I know that was weak, but love me some Rick Boogs. Champion versus champion match, the United States champion versus the Intercontinental champion, the two mid-card belts. I'm very intrigued by this match. Damian Priest has a very, very strong style of wrestling, and Nakamura is the king of strong style. So it'll be very interesting to see how this match plays out. Will Damian Priest snap and beat the holy crap out of Shinsuke Nakamura, or will Shinsuke be able to evade Damian's power long enough to be able to hit the Kinshasa and come out the victory? Shinsuke and Damian are two great workers, hence why they're holding two of the workhorse titles. And I can't wait to see what they bring to the ring. Next up was a match that was literally just announced this recent Monday on Raw. Hadn't heard anything about it up till now, but it's going to be Raw Tag Team Champions RK Bro taking on the SmackDown Champions, the Bloodline, and Jimmy and Jey Uso. It's that match is a match that we've never seen before. Like, we have to an extent. Like, I think we've seen them like face off against each other from time to time, individually. But I don't think we've ever seen RK Bro take on the Usos. It's going to be tag team wrestling at its best, as you would expect, with two champions going at it. For me, I'm leaning more towards the Usos because I'm a Bloodline guy. We are the ones. Not to mention Jacob Fatu is looking good down there in NXT. Yeah, you can add him to the Bloodline whenever you feel like it. For those of you who don't know, that's the third Uso brother there, the young man who, by any stretch of the imagination, is not a small man and does not, and I repeat, does not look like he's going to be taking that long to get to the main roster. Especially, like I said, you can write him in as a member of the Bloodline. I would love it. I don't know about y'all, but I would love it. All right, so the final match that we have for Survivor Series is this. WWE Champion Big E taking on Universal Champion, the head of the table, my tribal chief, Roman Reigns. This is another match that I do expect Roman Reigns to win. No offense to Big E. I like what he does. I think he's one of the most popular faces. That's what makes this a great match. He's one of the most popular faces right now, going up against WWE's top heel and possibly wrestling's top heel, depending on who you're asking. I will say some of Roman's stuff is he needs to freshen it up. He needs to be more involved, like show a little bit more emotion, kind of like he did like that. That's what made the Lesnar feud so nice. Was that he was willing to show that emotion. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm not giving any true predictions. If you want those, I might post them on Twitter right before the pay-per-view starts. I'll let you check me out at double KK double. Check us out at double KK double network for the show, and then on YouTube, same thing, double KK double network for the Cheap Pop podcast. Yeah, other than that, like you guys, like, look, WWE recently, let's pull it up. The WWE recently released a shit ton of wrestlers. And it was, yeah, let's see. It is on November 4th, WWE released Karrion Kross, Nia Jax, Ember Moon, Eva Marie, Mia Yim, Harry Smith, Lindsay Dorado, Grand Metalik, Jeet Rama, Katrina Cortez, Trey Baxter, Zayda Ramirez, Jessica Kamea, B-Fab, Oni Lorcan, Frankie Monet, and Scarlet Brudeau. Scarlet Brudeau, I understand. I'm going to go down the list here, but I'm going to start from the bottom up. Scarlet Brudeau, I understand. They hadn't really used her much recently. She wasn't really that big. Unfortunately for her, and unfortunately for the WWE audience, they didn't bring her up with Karrion Kross. So like her release made sense. Frankie Monet, to be honest with you, I don't even really know who the dude is. That's how much I feel like, okay. Oni Lorcan, he was always in some good storylines, but they hadn't really been using him in NXT. I could see that. B-Fab was the first big surprise because she was a member of Hit Row that had just made its main roster debut on Smackdown. But from an article that I read, I forget where, I think it was like Wrestling Inc., they stated that there were some people backstage who felt like the group's Hit Row would be just fine without B-Fab. And so they felt good enough to release it. Jesse Kamea, once again, don't know who that is. Zayda Reamer, no clue. Trey Baxter, who? Like, these are people I'm not mad about. I'm not saying they're not good wrestlers. I'm just saying I never knew who they were on the NXT or otherwise. Katrina Cortez, Grand Metalik. Now, you're getting more into the interesting ones, but Metalik and Dorado, both hadn't really been used that often. Were really being used as most of the time as fodder for other feuds that were going on. They were never really put in anything in particular with anybody. They just kind of kept to themselves. Harry Smith, that surprised me because I thought they just recently signed him. Mia Yim made sense when I heard that Bearcat Keith Lee had been released because they're husband and wife. Eva Marie, that kind of surprised me because she had been in some storylines recently, but once she separated from Doudrop, I don't think they really had anything for her. Ember Moon, she had been kind of tossing around in NXT, not really dominating, not doing this type of stuff that Finn Balor was doing, but just kind of being there. And so seeing her released made sense to me because now she has an opportunity to go somewhere else and be Ember Moon or be whoever she wants to be. Nia Jax did surprise me. They had recently written her off TV with an injury, and I didn't understand why release her now. But evidently, like, she had to go. And then the last two being Karrion Kross and Keith Lee surprised me because they had actually been being used on the main roster recently. Karrion Kross, I would say, because of the change in his gimmick, it wasn't relating with the WWE universe, with the crowd, but he could have gotten there. He had the personality, he had the look, he could have gotten there. Keith Lee had just recently went under a gimmick change, and I thought for sure that gimmick change was going to be leading toward the way they had him dominate. It was going to lead him towards a title shot, whether it be a US title shot or a WWE title shot. I felt like he could get in there and go and do it. And for some odd reason, maybe he asked for his release. I've heard some rumors that he asked for his release, and so did Mia Yim. Maybe Mia Yim hadn't been used since the what was that Retribution storyline with Mustafa Ali. Like, yeah, she hadn't been used in a while. So yeah, guys, like a lot of these people, I think this will be better for their career now that they're not under the yoke of WWE. I want to see them all be successful. I think we might end up seeing Keith Lee back with the WWE at some point down the road, but just now was not his time. So those are the WWE releases. The last thing I kind of want to run with y'all is I'm going to tell you about a show that I recommend for you. This will be a Kevin's recommendation since we got a solo. We'll do me and Alpha next week when we're doing comic books and movies. It's a show that came on Netflix. It used to be on NBC. And it was on for 4 years, or at least 4 seasons, short seasons, about 12 episodes. And it starred Kristen Bell and Ted Danson. And I've watched this show probably 2-3 times over the last couple of weeks, over the last couple of months, I should say. It's a show called The Good Place. And I'll just leave it to you like this. Me and Alpha are going to review this show a little bit later on down the road. But this show is pretty good in every pretty much aspect. Like I said, when I was talking to Alpha before, like Kristen Bell's just hot. I'm sorry, I can't deny that. Kristen Bell's just hot. But the way she plays her character is just utterly amazing. You know, she's a great actress. And then the guy, I can't remember his name. I'm gonna have to look it up before we do the review. The guy who plays the character Chidi Adegbanwe is just an amazing actor. Like he hits all of his cues as far as comedy, and I was very happy to watch him act. Ted Danson, spectacular self as usual. I believe this is probably the show he went to after CSI went off the air. And that's another show I recommend to you. If you're not watching CSI Vegas, you're missing out. It's pretty damn good. But I'll stop going off on side tangents because we're going to talk more about stuff like that next week. So be sure to join me and Alpha here on the 4 Aces Presents Radio Network, as well as here on YouTube with the Cheap Pop Podcast. That'll be it for us for tonight. God bless all of y'all for listening in, and we'll catch you next week. Peace.